Kalimera Pedia, Theodoros Edo, Uncommon Sense. Welcome to a Greek edition of Human Beings. I just wanted to show you the view we have, because you're not going to see it. Today I'm joined by Eva, and I'm going to put the camera down here, and we're going to put ourselves down, or that's not a nice way to say it. Put yourself down. But we're going to sit down, yes. So, hello.
Hello.
So, let me present you first, that Eva is a teacher, a cyclist, a dancer. I put performer because you do many things on stage, and a vegan. So that's going to be a big topic for us today. And then I put, you're also my surrogate Greek sister. But how would you present yourself, Eva?
I think you did it perfect, I have to be honest. First of all, disclaimer, excuse my English. It's something I always have to say because, I'm not so fluent as you. I'm trying to be.
I don't know about that.
So this is the first thing I want to say about myself. Secondly, indeed, I am your Greek sister, most definitely, because for the last, 2 years, I think I know you very well, and that's an honor. Thank you so much for having me in your life.
Well.
Secondly, I am a teacher. I am a cyclist. I am a hiker, mountain guide, many things like labels. Yes, a dancer, a singer. Performer. I am a president of the association here, so that means many things. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
more or less.
I think we could say that you're a sort of a leader type of person.
Even though I have to say it's not what I like, the words that I would describe for myself. I don't feel a leader. It's like I had to be like no one else. Wouldn't like to take such a position.
But isn't that what they say about the best leaders? That they never wanted to, they just had to step up because no one else would,
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know, the future, as we say in Greek, to μέλλον θα δείξει, the future will actually prove that. So we will see.
I think many times that's how I end up, I'll become a dictator, but not because I wanted to, because things are just going to hell. And then finally,
you have to, you will force.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But you said some things there, but what would you, if you just present yourself, what you're about, what you do today, what would you say then?
You mean like today? Actually today?
No, just like now. Because we're going to go back to
the past? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So I always like to start with a little, I guess you did it pretty well. But yeah, I guess you teach, you have students, you're a language teacher, and then you're involved with the dancing and the choir and these different activities like that, and often in sort of a leadership position. But okay, let's go back, because I think you have a very interesting backstory that I just know vaguely, so it's going to be interesting. So please take us back to your childhood, how you grew up, and just take it from there.
Of course. It's interesting because you said that I am vegan, and what we say in vegan community is that we first say, I am vegan.
Yeah.
Probably it's the last thing that I say about myself.
You're a special vegan.
Thank you so much. I'm trying to be. I think that if we work as an example, then that probably leads. Leader. Once again.
You see?
Okay, thank you for changing already my point of view, perspective. So I'm vegan for almost, since I was 18, 19. So I'm actually turning 21 tomorrow. 21, no,
31.
It's 21. 32.
Oh, 32, that's true. We are 31 and we'll be turning 32.
Yes, we have some days difference.
Yeah.
We're twins.
Yeah. Well, I think I like that you're older, so you're the big sister. Yeah.
Most definitely. 10 days did that. Wisdom. It's, so indeed, I am vegan for almost 14 years now. Childhood, okay. The typical Greek family core, as we say. Grandmother, first of all, because here we have matriarchy, like the women are a little bit more the ones who leaders again. So grandmother, my mother, my father, and my grandfather till my 6th that he passed away. So I have to say something important for me, that I have lost many people through my childhood, and that was The most characteristic, how to say, the thing that characterized my childhood most, losing so many people.
How do you think that specifically shaped you?
You learn that grieving and losing, it's the biggest actually truth of life. So it's like you have to fight for some things. Health is very important because seeing that life is short and you have to take care of it, because I have lost not one but many people, and some of them in front of me. I was 5. Okay, that shaped me. It didn't have the typical childhood of like playing, going around. I grew up with older people, so that affected me. That's the most important actually thing of my life. But apart from that, thankfully my parents, let's say, helped me to grow up fully educated, good education, many languages, many sports, and a little bit isolated because of being a lone kid. Have a half sister, but we're a bit distanced together.
Oh, let me fix that. It's okay.
My sister.
I expect that the nice thing is that it can still be heard, but I kind of expected that to happen with the wind. Let me do this. So yeah, now it's going to be a bit more stable. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, childhood lasted 18 years, so it's difficult to narrate 18 years in some minutes.
No, but it's like I always ask, and people can go into how much they want. It's just that since I am very interested in just people, individuals, and how they were shaped, I want to know at least something about like the very beginning. But maybe that's more later. But of course, you told me that you had an eating disorder, and so I think that's what I want to hear.
Okay, most definitely. And I don't know if you have hosted many people who have been through, something like that. But I'm really proud to talk about that as someone who has recovered from that for the past 4 years. So my mother used to have an eating disorder, and I grew up all of my childhood with the fear of do not become like your mother, eat more so you don't become like your mother. And my grandmother, because of her fear, she was force feeding me with something like all the grandmothers did. But my grandmother, with a bit of a fear, eat so you don't become like that. My mother didn't want me to become very fat because of that. So there was a contradiction in the house. My grandmother feeding me and try to be a little bit more sane around food. And my mother, don't eat that, don't do that. She put me in many diets. I wasn't a fat kid, but okay, I wasn't a little bit chubby, as most of the girls grew up here. The Mediterranean type of our bodies. It's not very thin and, but it's okay. So around my 16, I started developing earlier, like I had panic attacks, and I had some symptoms of eating disorder very early because I was alone and I couldn't cooperate. So I started developing this coping mechanism of like overeating, but it was okay because sometimes you maybe know that eating, indeed, it's a coping mechanism up to a point. Like most of the people use that. But when I started realizing what is happening, then I started like I wanted to control it. So around my 16, 17, that started to turn and become a little bit more controlling. So that's when my anorexia started. Up to my 22. I went to many psychiatrists, psychologists, all of these years, so as to handle it. It peaked around 23, 24, 25, that it started turning to bulimia with all of the symptoms, unfortunately. These illnesses, these disorders have, and at my 26 to 28, I was submitted to a center so I can have what we say holistic recovery therapy with nutritionists, psychologists, ergotherapists. So for 4 years I was there, and I was out almost 4 years ago, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So very briefly, because again, that's a lot of years. It fluctuated a lot. So it started with anorexia, then bulimia, and then that takes turns, changes.
So just what does that look like in practice? You say it starts with anorexia. So like what did you do, if you understand what I mean?
I started, let's say, over-controlling, making rituals with the food, become extremely obsessed, actually what I would say now after 10 years, more 14 years of that, 15, that I started, it's like a vortex, so you start and you get, it's like into yourself, till there's nothing else, like you wake up and the only thing you think it's how I can restrict more and more, till you cannot restrict anymore because your body starts, and I don't know, not apart from eating itself, it starts failing. And many actually body mechanisms failed. Apart from becoming thin or emaciated, it's typical because you don't lose the weight in a nice way. You cut, or you just, it's not the same every day, even though you would like to be the same every day. You restrict, you're just trying to find ways that you can restrict more and more till your body starts, trying to protect you, and then it gets more difficult. It's not a healthy way. So it's complicated. For some people, like my mother, she reached 35 kilos when she had anorexia, and she managed, let's say, to survive because the gums back there had sugar. So the only thing that she was eating was chewing gums. That's why if you see her today, she still eats a lot of chewing gums, but okay, there are no sugar anymore. But for me, it was a turning point that I discovered exercise. So I started exercising more and more. And then I started using exercise as a coping mechanism too. And when you exercise, there is a little bit of an imbalance in your body because, okay, now you're exercising and you do not compensate in a healthy way. You do not, so that created other things and other mechanisms. It's a system, and it's a dynamic open system. So then I started using exercise, and then bulimia started because you cannot over-exercise and your body like, okay, I need energy, feed me. And yeah.
So especially if you are quite thin when you start with that. But so what was the lowest weight you reached?
It was 49, 50 kilos, around that, but it was like I was 74. I lost 20 kilos, which when you're 70, okay, it's a lot. And then I lost a little bit more. And then I was balancing through 65 to 55, like, and that's actually something I want to say, that most of the people who have eating disorders are not thin. They have a healthy, a normal body weight, because somehow nature protects the body to be in the, like if you say someone emaciated, they have, of course, a huge problem and they need help, but also a lot of people who have a normal body weight.
I mean, I would say, because eating disorders, there are different ones, right? So anorexia and bulimia, it would be someone that like pushes and gets really thin, but a lot of people that are maybe kind of average looking, they still have a very disordered behavior with food, because it can still come from, even though you're not like starving yourself or something, that body composition can come from like over-restricting for some time and then suddenly eating a lot, and over-restricting. So maybe when you see the person, you see they have a little belly or something, you're thinking, oh, they have an eating disorder. But I know this from the coaching I've done, that a lot of people that aren't necessarily super, super thin or very, very overweight, they still have quite a disordered behavior with eating.
It's obvious most of the times. Both the extremes are the result of something, most definitely. But yeah.
I can say real quick that I had, like, never huge, but I had some disordered behavior with eating in my early teens. And it comes a lot from my mom having had that before also, and talking so much about calories and this and that, and commenting on my body and things, you know. So what I would do was, because something I understood, I wanted to be fit, I wanted to have abs. Funny thing is, looking back, I was quite fit. Like, especially when I'm like 13, I had abs. It's just that in my head, even before social media, what I've seen this super shredded 8-packs, you know, and so to me that's what abs are. So it doesn't, because I know I have different genetics for that. Like I don't get the 8, you know, little things, but I didn't realize that there's a genetic component to something like that. So what I understood from reading was that the abs, it's not only about the ab muscles but low body fat. So I need to lose fat, and and I started counting a little bit of calories, but I had I had an addiction to sweets really then. It was so hard for me to stay away. But so things that I would do that is a bit disorder is like not eat the school lunch and go have like a chocolate bar instead, because that's overall there was like less calories. But it's of course just complete junk calories in that setting. And then I don't quite know how and why, but it kind of went away. It was at least not a big issue for me, but I remember I was quite obsessed with that kind of thing back then.
Sanity, it's like the vortex. I have discussed that with many people. It's like that it didn't, absorb you in such a point, or you could manage. It's not, what most of the people used to say to me, and that was very annoying. You're so smart. Why you cannot handle it? Actually, I was so smart that actually it absorbed me even more, because I was able to understand, but I was trying to control it, and not in the sane, healthy way that I should. So yeah.
And so, how do you feel about that today?
Nice question. Thank you. It gives me some minutes to think.
Yeah.
Λοιπόν, I say many times λοιπόν, means so in Greek, around 3 million times per day. Λοιπόν, it's a very difficult question because it stigmatizes you. It's something you carry forever. You know that you cannot be normal again in your life, but you learn how to handle it. So, and through the therapy and all of the years, you just see, okay, all of the mechanisms, the feeling, the thoughts of this, I'm trying better to handle them and recognize the patterns, like what is good for me, what is best, and it's actually indeed performing logic over this, like you are starting to make it more, I say many ways, a sane way. You recognize and you're trying again to control, but in a healthy way. It's impossible. There are some cases, of course, that people say that they are 100% recovered. They don't even think about that. I don't know, if I can only speak about myself. In comparison, like today and let's say 10 years ago, it's huge the difference. My life back then was only counting and obsessing and only that, and a lot of bad exercise, not in a good way, like actually exercising. It was compensation for overeating, and now it's way more healthy. I can have a balance in my life that I can call myself recovered.
Oh, that's good to hear. And yeah, it's clear that the cycling that you're very into, that's something you're into. It's not like I need to burn all these calories.
No, not at all. And actually I can stop, like back then I would, okay, and today I want to exercise. The nature here is magnificent. You have seen, it's nice, but I will not force myself to run more, or I don't run, to walk more, or like cycle more because of that. It's all about like a nice schedule. If I have the time, I will. But I even don't care about, like yesterday I burnt, let's say, 500 calories. Okay, decent. But I don't want it like to be, oh, it wasn't 1,000, now I'll die. What I will do, it wasn't, no, not obsessing. It's more healthy than ever.
You know, it's funny because when I started uncommon sense and training and dieting and that, I definitely was a bit obsessed with everything, like in this more like controlling thing. Because I would still say I'm obsessed, but in a better way. But I still tend, the food I'll say is definitely not something I obsess about, because I don't know, it's all the fasting and everything, and it was never my biggest issue. So that I never feel like, any pressure about. But for me, it can be with training, that. No, I need to do exactly all of this, can't step back. No, all of this needs to be done. Even when I think like I should probably chill a bit today, I end up not doing that, But for me, I think I'm that kind of person that when I start with something, I have to become a little too extreme first, because like even now when I can train too much, it was in a different way before. Like I remember one time so I had done push-pull legs split for training, divide the body into 3, you do each twice. And then I wanted to try upper-lower, and typically people do those just twice of each per week and maybe add something like an arm day or something in. But I did them 3 times each. So now it's just way more for the legs also, 3 times. And also, instead of like, when you change from a push-pull to an upper, of course, you would do a little less of pushing and pulling, but I ended up just pretty much like squeezing in both push and pull into the upper. I remember during that time, like I was so overtrained, like I felt like this, like I was wearing like a steel collar, and I would wake up in the middle of the night and feel exhausted, but it's like all the stress hormones that wake me up. And so for me, it's like I had to push a bit too far in one direction first before I realized that, okay, this is just not good, With the food, I think, when I think back to it, it was just that I had some junk food addiction and that, so I just didn't have as much control over it, But, because I've just been, I think about it, people love to jump to like orthorexia, right? And I'm always like, why do you have to make the good thing a bad thing, Like I'm training too much, I'm sick, says the person that never trains,
It's the obsession, it's the, sorry for stopping, but orthorexia, it's when this is so important for you that, like for example, if you don't do one extra, I don't know, rep, you are losing it, or you have a panic attack, or you didn't eat the way you wanted, you have a panic attack. So you had panic attacks, I know, but it's not being able to handle it. It's a little bit too much. Which again, it's possible. Like
no, it's never been that big for me, but I definitely left the gym and felt like, I should have done that also, or, I'm much better at that now, though. Like what I can do, like at home. I will, every once in a while, I will notice, like most recently, that, okay, I pushed a little too hard. It wasn't dangerous in any way. It was just that I noticed I was so tired all the time. And immediately when I just chilled, took a few days off and that, the energy came back. But for instance, before, that I almost think that when if you decide that I want to get really fit, I think you almost have to act like, it isn't necessarily disordered, but you have to act in a similar way. Because, like me now, for instance, I love training so much. Like, there's no risk of me just stopping. So when I come here, like I told you, I let go of that. I'll do some social workouts, I'm not obsessed about it. But for instance, during maybe my first 1 or 2 years, and I was still in this choir, and when we go places, I would immediately look at where's the gym, and I would find the time to go there. And in that case, I think it was kind of a good thing, because I'm still kind of in the pursuit of building this person. But now
it's a process.
Yeah, now I have that extremely solid foundation that it's more like it's good to be able to just let it go a bit on a trip like this. So.
You know that it will not affect you in the bigger, like it will not destroy your process.
No.
Even better, maybe it will even enhance it. So it's gaining knowledge and being able knowledge and of yourself and of your system and like ameliorate, make it work for you in the best way possible. You are not going to die.
No. But let me tell you that I think because I haven't been sick all that much during this time since I changed my lifestyle, but if I've been so sick that I can't train, immediately, I notice how fast you can go back to just being kind of lazy, because I'm so used to, I usually train at the start of the day also. And so when that doesn't happen, I can just kind of feel like, Well, you know, it's like my momentum isn't going like the way I usually start it on a day. So I feel like I become more lazy with everything. Of course, if I'm actually sick, maybe that's okay, you know. But I notice it just when that decision is, okay, let's not go to the gym. Suddenly I feel like, well, let's not do anything almost.
You know that it will be better for yourself, like knowing that this will be more harmful actually if you, because it's the cortisol also. If you train and you are not feeling well, or you have a fever or something like that, okay, it's better to protect yourself. Like the injury I have, I know it's better that if I protect myself for 2-3 days, it will make me heal faster, so I can perform better afterwards.
But my, you know, I laugh because my thinking when I have some injuries is always like, what can I still do though? You know, and that's one of those things that's both good and bad. Because many times I manage, like when I hurt this shoulder, it happened in an extremely stupid way. It was my first major injury. Long story short, I just kept ignoring that. I started feeling some sharp pain, and one day when I wasn't fully recovered, something just like, I like had to walk around like this, you know. But like having this, I really want to train, you know. So what I found first, I could do a cable fly on this angle. So I would just do a lot of that. And then after a while, I could do dumbbell presses again. I could not do dips or a bench press with a barbell. But, you know, I found a way to
Adaption.
I actually healed my shoulder and kept growing this area like that. And this is something that would not have been possible when you're more advanced. But at that time, I had sort of a goal that I would be stronger on the bench press than I was when I came back to it. And I was like, I had done 85 kilos, I had done 6 reps, and I remember I did exactly 86 kilos for 7 reps, like 1 year later, without having bench pressed. So you see, it can be a good thing, but definitely I've, with my hips, for instance, I've been too stubborn in like, I should be able to train heavy somehow. And I've just kind of, it's much better now, but I've kind of delayed that recovery. So I just think it's kind of interesting to think about how certain behaviors, you know, they can be disorder or not. It depends on kind of the motivation, I guess. In my case, I definitely would say that it's a little bit of both sometimes.
I agree. I remember in the center that I was admitted that they never stopped. For example, they never forced me to stop exercising or not being vegan, because they believed a lot in this golden balance, not golden, but that we can achieve a balance with if something is real and important for us, just to make it work for us in a good way, because you will see that most of the let's say instructions, okay, of course, when someone's extremely over you know, thin, yes, then they should stop exercising and have a very specific diet, etc. But it's being able to use your logic and understand with yourself, consciousness.
Yes. 100%. So let's move on to that part about veganism.
Ooh.
So the first question I'll just ask you is, why are you vegan?
What a nice question, thank you. I'm vegan because I would say it's not only one reason. It's not only the love for the animals, you know, I love them a lot. I don't believe that they are food. Like, I don't think that, for example, meat, eggs, and all of the products of the animals are food. Then I think that we should be in the cultural evolution progress that we should not use animals to feed ourselves. I think that we are more, let's say, developed and I cannot find in English the word, sorry, but okay. Like constructed, we can not use anymore animals, and so they live in such conditions for them. Like, I cannot stand the way that they are treated and reproduced and live. Like, we cannot say that everything is, let's say, what people say, that they are creatures of God, but, you know, behave like that to them. And I think also that we do not need, through the history, so much meat and products, animal products to survive. And so it's mainly for ethical, not mainly, no, it's mainly for ethical reasons. Ethos, a Greek word. The teacher comes out of me. I started being vegan. I started cutting things because there are foods that I have never eaten. I couldn't even chew them, like beef. Like I remember the first and the only time that I've tasted beef, I was in 6th grade, 10 years old, and it was very soft and nice, and my father was trying, like, eat, it's amazing, it's so soft. And I couldn't eat the, the form, the way the beef it is, I couldn't. So I stopped honey. I told you yesterday, like my grandmother told me that for one spoonful, a bee has to reach 1 million flowers to create the honey, and I was like, no, I cannot eat something that something had to do so much work for it. I'll take something else. And of course it's choices, because everything, it has a cost to the environment, of course. It is, for me, just trying to make more conscious choices for that purpose.
I see. So, the ethical part, like to me, because I've thought about this a lot, it's like, let me just think, I have to find the words. But yeah, I think everyone who's a decent person doesn't like to see animals suffering, and doesn't like farmery.
There are some people.
Yeah, but I said decent people, But factory farming and that, I don't know, and when they squeeze in, like, I don't know, chickens, it's like they have almost no space for themselves. And all these things I've seen. Of course, that's terrible, and I don't want to eat food that was produced that way. But to me, I think of it that you can do it in an ethical way, because what I think, I've thought about it a lot. Do I think veganism is more ethical or not? Like what I end up with is that in the end, your existence is going to infringe on animals' existence, no matter what you do. Like just because there aren't any animals on your plate doesn't mean that animals didn't die for your food, So, and also to me, the thing, if I thought I could, because you said survive, and I think that's a key word. You could survive without so many animal products, but can you thrive is my question, And so I think if I could think that, yes, I could absolutely be my healthiest self, being a vegan, then I would find it like my obligation to do it, but I just don't think I can. So I eat animal foods, and I try to make conscious choices from what the source is. Like at home, I've ordered meat from this butcher that I've directly spoken to. Same thing with eggs. So. This is not a suggestion to anyone, but my conclusion is that the only way to truly be vegan is to kill yourself. Because then you can't infringe on anyone's existence. But even having a house, even many things, it's gonna get in the way of an animal somehow.
It's again making better choices. You know where I live. Always people ask me, how is it possible to be here? Greek diet, Greek cuisine is. Long story, because Mediterranean diet, it's not based on meat. It's based on vegetables and healthy fats. Greek tradition didn't use so many.
See, that's a dangerous animal right there.
Yeah, very. Let's kill it. No. Like people used to eat meat 3 times per year, Easter, 15th of August and Christmas time. So for me also it's how they're treated, apart from treated like all of the medicine. Like yesterday I was reading an article about an illness now that some ships have in Greece, so they had to kill them all, which is devastating, of course. But for me it's like, how do you know that what you eat it's healthy, and what you put to your body it's healthy? They didn't have illnesses, hormones, all of these things. You would say probably the same for plants. So I would say the same thing, that I'm trying to eat the plants that I grow in my garden. So it's just I think always a choice of, like to do better choices for yourself. I will never force anyone to become vegan again. There are vegans that they are very vocal and they will shout to you. They wouldn't even, of course, talk to you, first of all. But as I told you, I am like a lead by example. My energy, it's very high, and I can exercise for hours. You saw me also in the gym. I had 4 years to do weightlifting, and okay, I didn't die.
No.
Apparently, I haven't died. As I'm alive, living proof that you can survive.
Yeah, you keep using the word survive, though.
Yeah, you know, for me it's survival. If you I have been so close to death so many times that for me it's survival.
Okay. You know, another thing I think about is some animals, I think arguably they could live a better life when, you know, when they are being produced to eat, to put it like blatantly like that. But I think of a cow, for instance, like what would they do in the wild? I feel like they would just be a huge target for predators.
What predators?
I don't know.
I don't know. I only think in Greek standards. They don't have predators here.
Okay, maybe not.
Wolves, but not so many, and they are very far. It's, you know, I am against the extreme scenarios. Like, what if everybody turned vegan? Or what we would do if you go to an island and isolate it? How you will survive? I am into more, cases that they can really happen in your life. So yeah, you say about survival. It's my ego not so high to say thrive, even though I think that I thrive. If you ask me, I think that I have reached, I know what works for me so well due to this process of recovering and educating myself, that for me, thriving, it's not being very muscular, for example, or hypertrophy, or like, and I am now, let's say 60 kilos, I don't obsess with weighting, I weight myself once every 2 months, for example, or I go just to see where my percentages are. So for me, it's like just having different goals. For me, it is just having peace in my mind and my body, perform well, sleep well, feel well, which is different for each one of us.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing, of course, that I respect the way you approach it, like, because I've never felt like you ever try to push it on anyone, or that you like act superior about it. It's very much like, this is my personal choice, and if you feel at peace with doing that, then like I support it in that way. For me, it's just that I don't really have the belief that you can completely thrive on a vegan diet. Like, I see some people, like, I'm open-minded, because I can name a few examples. Alex Leonidas, a Greek guy, but he's of course American, but one of the most prominent natural bodybuilder, content creator types, I would say, extremely strong. He didn't get that way only being like plant-based, but he has been that for like a year now or so, I think, and he's getting stronger. And of course, it's not just about strength, like talking about well-being, but I would think if you're highly advanced in that manner, you're strong, and you go to a diet that, isn't healthy or whatever, it seems like it would be difficult to get stronger. So, that's something that makes you go, I nuance my view a bit. Then who more? I know, Clarence Kennedy, this like Olympic weightlifter. He's pretty much a world-class Olympic weightlifter for fun. Like, he doesn't compete, but he, I don't know because again, it's not for his entire training career, and he's also enhanced on steroids. But I just, he is like he is elite. He could win like some world championship if he did that. And he's been a vegan for a very long time, I know, So I had to nuance my view a little bit. And the way I think of it is, because when I look at just the facts, I'm like, okay, there are some things it seems very difficult to not be deficient on a vegan diet. But I also tend to think that people that talk as if they know exactly what's true about nutrition and that, they don't know what they're talking about, because it's so infinitely complex, It depends, it's different person with different genes, different environments. So, you know, I'm open to the fact that maybe some individuals actually can do well on a vegan diet long term. But that, like, my only concern with you being vegan would be that, I hope it turns out well for you, you know.
14 years and on. You know, it's like, honestly, I don't know, because I have also been non-vegan. So, and all of these years I have also observed people turning into vegan. Some people manage to do, some people not, as with everything, I think. In this life, it will be fun, like if we do an adaptation and then follow it forever. Like now you have to do it forever. Nobody obliges anyone to do, you know, so it's just acknowledging what works for you best and best. It's trial and error, as everything in life. It's consciousness. It's consciousness on many different levels. For me, like if yes, you want to gain more muscle, or you know, your protein intake has to be high. I think it's impossible to do it in a vegan diet without like eating extreme amounts of beans, lentils and things like that. Not that I haven't seen it, but it's, again, your goal. What's your goal? My goal is not to be very, like I want my flexibility, I dance, I cannot be very heavy, very muscular. It will help me, of course, but it's like, I think that my muscle development, it's different probably yours, because I have to dance many on my points, or like, yes, more cardio. I need that cardiovascular like ability to be as best as possible. Not that the one means that the other will not happen. It is just that this is adapted to my lifestyle that works for me, and that is for you. That's what works for you. Like I will not cancel you because you're eating meat, because I know that you do not overuse it. Also, like you do not abuse meat, and in a way you still honor what you eat.
Yeah,
and that's the key.
And that we've talked about that before. That because that's another thing to me. That because the way I see it, what I do with myself, I build myself up, like for myself, but also for other people. Like the better I become, the stronger, healthier, more well-functioning I am, the more I have to give to other people. So I see it in a way that the animal foods I eat, like I never do it unconsciously. Like I am aware, like I've thought about it. Like how do I really feel about other lives, maybe more like primitive lives, but that they support mine, you know. But then I think, well, I invest it into something valuable, at least. And to me, like actually when I think about it, someone that's just sitting on their ass and eating a cheeseburger and doesn't do shit, you know, then I don't feel the same about it suddenly. So it's interesting. It's very complex, all of this. But I think one point about like health too is, to me, it's not only like, what does the textbook say is the like healthiest thing, like that. It's also what you want to do. It's like even if I would like take a thing like steroids or like, I don't know, drinking every weekend or something, if someone like genuinely owns it somehow, you know, because people, they find excuses for it. But if they instead own it, you know, like the steroids, instead of like, oh, you know, because it's not something you and I talk a lot about, but this thing with TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, that people like, they want, oh, I need it because, you know, the environment has poisoned me, kind of, you know, I would have higher testosterone otherwise, you know, this strange, just say that you want to take gear, you're too lazy to that's your priority, you know. But I guess it's not the exact same thing, but what I mean is that we can do certain choices that maybe it's not like, I'm not doing this because the textbook says it's the healthy, it's what I feel like doing. I feel best about doing it because of that reason. I can take the little example, do I have it on me? No? The snus, the tobacco I use. I mean, I don't even know that it's so, I don't even think it's that, like no, people aren't getting like cancer from it all over the place, but let's say it's not like a health thing, even though nicotine boosts testosterone. But you know, I use it a bit. Let's put it this way: there would be, I think, a better amount to use. I tend to lean on it a bit more, but it's just like I like that. I like it so much. For me, I think actually because I have quit it once. And it almost feels like breaking up with a girl or something. You know, that even when you're doing fine, it's like I kind of miss it. You know.
But I want it.
Yeah, but so you see what I mean? That at least within reason. I mean, if someone would claim like, "Oh, I feel good from, I don't know, stabbing my thigh with a knife," I can't really support that. But I mean, within reason, you can do some choices that aren't like, "Oh, because it's the healthiest according to the textbook, and it's still like the right choice for you." Is kind of my point.
Yeah, it's consciousness and
Sorry to cut you off, but I think you would agree that, like, objectively, a vegan diet is not the healthiest for a person in that, like, just a physical sense, kind of.
I think no diet can be. Like, everyone has different needs, and everything has to be accustomed to their needs. Like, we don't have the same needs. Actually, I was thinking while you were talking that the only thing that we share in our diets is carrots.
Yeah.
Like nothing else. All of these days.
Coffee. Coffee.
Coffee, yeah, but coffee it's not a food. It doesn't provide anything apart from caffeine. I think we abuse coffee, both of us.
A little bit.
A little. No, it's okay, you know. But yeah, the only thing we said is carrots.
It's a nice food.
Yeah, that should be, I don't know, the title of the video, like people who share carrots or something like that. We have something in common always, Mr. Uncommon, but everyone has different needs. I have to, as I told you, because of the past of eating disorder, I cannot, let's say, fast even for a day. Like I have to always surpass a specific calorie intake. And but it's okay if I exceed sometimes the number. I will not die. I will not have a panic attack if I eat like, I don't know, 2,000 calories. It's okay.
Yeah, that's not even a lot.
That's not even a lot.
You bike a lot and stuff.
I do, but it's a balance. I know that, for example, I cannot eat every day, let's say 3,000-4,000 calories. My body doesn't also want it.
It would be difficult.
Not so much, you think?
Yeah,
it would be difficult to eat?
I think it's kind of difficult, but that's also because I like fasting so much.
You don't do so much cardio
No.
to be, you know, to have this glucose be depleted, and again that needs also balance.
Yeah, but I mean, I do a lot of intense exercise that depletes me also.
Yeah, it was interesting how sweaty, like you sweated so much on the gym, like I was. No sweat. You were.
I didn't really sweat that much.
Imagine, for me that was yeah.
I didn't feel that sweaty.
We have different mechanisms developed because I have to cycle. So my glands, I don't know the exact terms. They have adapted in a different way. Like we will see. Like today you're going to cycle, so I'm going. We will see. We will see.
Yeah, it's like you're hoping to see me like all like.
No, not at all. Not at all. You will have a very good balance, I'm sure, and we will see. I don't know. It's something like I don't know. I want to see it how it's going to turn.
Yeah. No, but it's like I don't want to press you too much, but like looking at the facts, isn't it very difficult to get all your nutritional needs met without any animal foods?
It is, and I think also for everyone, it's difficult, even for people who claim to be omnivores, like they eat everything. They, it's like how people start dieting, and whatever they do, or what, like if you're doing a very crap diet, whatever you do in a good way, it will turn good for you, like it will be positive. So it's not that suddenly we found the medicine, panacea, as we say, it's a Greek word, so it's very difficult indeed. The only thing we can do is blood work, even though we vegans think that vegans should have different type of measurements.
That's just another thing, just to put that in, that that's what I mean with that. It's so complex also, because you don't know that maybe you, like take a thing like fiber, for instance. To me, it seems like some people don't, when you eat certain foods, you barely need any fiber, you know. It's like contextual, you know.
I say I laugh because we vegans we overuse fiber.
Yeah.
Indeed, fiber doesn't work very well for me. So that's why, for example, you see me eating a lot of vegan yogurts, things like that. But, of course, they imitate a non-animal product. They're not the healthiest, but choice. Like I acknowledge that. That sometimes, in order to like also the shakes. People most of the times overuse again post-workout and
protein bars.
Protein bars. We have discussed that many times. That in some cases, that's the only thing you can do. You cannot have. I am very against, honestly, into lives that they are every day the same, and you don't allow anything in your life. You don't have anything. Your routine is the same every day, and there is not a bit like gap of I don't know if that is even possible to happen. But I think that that's disordered in my mind, like having such a pattern life that nothing is allowed it inside and outside. Like.
So that's a nice segue to the last question on the topic. Is that, do you have any critiques of me and my lifestyle?
No,
because that sounded almost like you described me.
Yeah, but you will not lose it if you go for vacation. You will not lose it if someone invites you somewhere, or if you miss. Something, let's say that the gym is closed, you will find a way, you will compromise. You will not stand outside the gym crying or breaking the door to enter. You understand what I mean? Sometimes the extremes. We have a routine. A routine and mini rituals is actually a sane way. It's that people with eating disorders and anything else overuse, or they become so obsessed with that there is nothing outside that. It's being more adaptive and able to handle different conditions, circumstances.
But it's funny, because for me, it's not like there's nothing outside that, but it is so much just who I am and how I live. I cannot help that's also what other people talk to me. Everyone interacts with me.
You want it to be this, is what you want it to be characterized. For me, veganism, it's not what I want to be characterized. It doesn't want to be my identity. It is something that I am, yes, but I don't want it to be the first thing or the only thing that someone sees about me. Through all of these years of veganism, for me the most difficult thing, it's not finding vegan food or eat. It's handling with the comments of people. And once again, going to a restaurant, you will not eat meat, at least eat chicken. And I'm like, no, I don't want to eat chicken. And I don't go again to a place.
Yeah, and I think things like that are tiresome, because it's one thing that we discuss it and have some differences in opinion, but it's like pushing, because that's my thing. Yeah, I would like to see...
You have been pushed a lot, too.
Yeah, of course, in different ways. But, I told you, I try to not push you, but every now and then I'll be like, if you at least ate some eggs, but...
Okay, and I'm like, okay, maybe. I don't know, I can't say that forever, but as it seems.
No, but my point is just that, I never want to push, try to force someone to be the way I think they should be or something. And so that's actually one thing. I've never been a strong anti-vegan like that, but one thing that maybe even less so, and start considering the other perspective more, is just seeing, there's a meme I told you about that I hate. I think it's so stupid, with the kind of every time I eat steak, I make sure to eat two, so someone's veganism won't make a difference or something like that. I'm like, that's so stupid. It's like you want to prove that you are kind of what a vegan would think, that you don't give a shit about animals. So you don't eat them. So it's to spite the vegan almost. And to me, that's just am I on the same side as this person? I don't think so.
No.
So
No, not at all. We cannot, as we say, Ingrid, put all the people in the same bag. It's impossible.
No, but I think with this conversation, what I think is interesting is to kind of show, just you can have differences in opinion and lifestyle, but still,
we agree to disagree.
Yeah, but and actually, but also that, I guess, because with the name of the podcast, also human beings, I kind of want to show that, to me at least, when a person just is distinctly themselves, that's kind of what I appreciate most about people. And I see that I can, I would not have guessed, just like if someone just described you without me knowing you personally, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, we're going to get along great. It's not my first thought. But then when these certain aspects are in place, it's like, it doesn't matter that we do certain things differently. Because you and I we get along very well.
And, also people change. Like, I don't know, if we have done that 5 years ago, probably some answers will be different. And also, you don't know in 5 years who we're going to be. I hope that we are both okay and probably in the same page that we are. But you never know how. That's what I have learned through my life. You don't know. You can just live now, be well, feel well now, do anything you can do for feeling good with your consciousness and your system of values, and prioritizing, of course, yourself and your needs in a good way. Lead by example. And
yeah. No, I have presented you many times as my favorite vegan also, because I think, well, because I like you apart from the veganism also, but the way you go about it also is like, well, that's the way that even if I would have some disagreements, it's like, well, I gotta respect that, and I gotta, and I honestly, on a level, I kind of like that you're vegan. Like I like that you care about animals and things. I think it's a nice thing like that, because I think sometimes that gets a little like, in the anti-vegan speak, it's a little like, no, it's not more ethical, and I can nuance that too. I can see how you can have a
fight, yeah, we can.
no, but a quite ethical approach, still eating animals, but it's not the point, because I feel like the sentiment from you is like genuine, like it's not like, oh, I want to feel better. It's like, no, it's actually that you told, like, I have difficulty even eating it. It's like, okay, I get that, okay.
Yeah, but like now I say the Sisyphus hodling back, and I think that Taurus, for example, it's a very strong animal, and yet it's a vegan animal.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. That's the animals have different digestive systems,
Most
all that. But
definitely.
let's move on from that. How are we on time? Just so you don't.
Don't worry at all. It's what is that? We have 20 minutes.
Yeah. So we both have to do a little work. I have a call also. But one kind of interesting thing that you might not expect that I ask you about.
I hope so. Come on.
Because there are many things that unfortunately we're not going to have time for, but there's one I wanted to ask you. So me and Eva are in a non-romantic, anxious, avoidant relationship. So
100%.
Yeah, and since that's something we didn't mention, but I think you have some credentials in psychology also, right?
Yeah, because of my studies, yes.
Yeah, and so I kind of just wanted you, because it's something I want to talk a bit more on the channel, maybe you can just explain that kind of attachment theory.
How it works so well. It's love and hate, I think. That's, I think, how all of there. It's like yin and yang, it's positive and negative. The one attracts the other, and they function well because one holds and the other, it's like a golden balance. We say in Greek, and I think also in many languages, that the opposites attract each other and are the differences that hold us together.
Just sorry to cut you off, but I would like you to explain the styles. Like
you mean what is an avoidant and what is an anxious type? I think first of all that you have mastered it too, all of these years. But it's not only these types, of course, in psychology. These are just some terms to explain some typical behaviors. Like, for example, avoidance. Avoid, that's what it is. So they try not to get attached, and because probably of their past or a bad, they avoid anything by any mean. And anxious type are more attached, and they get very stressed, overthink. They are trying to fix all the time. So I don't have. I'm trying to think if I have something wise to say. I don't, because. It's not like I am an avoidant, that I have, I acknowledge that, I know I am. That's why it works for me. being an anxious type, that's what works for you.
But to be fair, because we're talking about the attachment styles, like first of all, the one they call secure.
Secure, yes, safe type, yeah.
Yeah, but that one I just think is kind of like boring, because to me many times what is described as
It's
secure.
not so challenging.
No, but many times I just feel like. But just because they don't have certain triggers, trauma,
I'll tell you.
That doesn't mean that you're like secure necessarily. To me,
No.
It's more like, okay, you don't have these.
Actually, it's covered in security sometimes. If
Yeah.
you know what I mean. I have been with someone, that he was exactly the type, and he grown up in such a good patterns, everything was so secure and nice, but in the end. There was no character. That like it was so secure, as you say. Like there was nothing outside that. Not that it was boring. It was like that. Yeah, probably it was boring. Like I don't know. We have a word in Greek that it's pezo. It was. I don't know if we need the extremes sometimes to survive and hold us. I have to say that it worked for me though, because it provided me the security I wanted. So it's again a balance. It's not always the same, and we're not always only the one type, because, for example, I can be avoidant in a form, but I can, in a case, but in another circumstance, I can be very anxious. So we all have all the mechanisms. In relationships, romantic relationships, the one comes out. In friendship, like for example, in my friendship, I am more anxious than you believe. In romantic, I am avoidant.
Because I'm kind of opposite mostly. Because it's the 4 styles, and of course, it's not God that created these. So it's just a theory that I just happen to be quite accurate. Like it's useful many times, but there is anxious and avoidant, and then the fearful avoidant. That's kind of both. And I definitely see myself as the latter one. I've been very anxious at, it's not just about romance, right? Or relationships even. But I've been very anxious, but I've also been completely shut down and depressed and just feel like hiding from things. But mostly I see that girls I've been involved with have had more, in the dynamic, been more avoidant and I'm more anxious. But in friendship relationships, I often feel like, just leave me alone. You're pushing me, you're pressuring me to do things. Yeah. But yeah, what I wanted to say about the secure is, to me, it's just that they don't have so much trauma often. Because I think there's a family I grew up with, comparing to my family, where things were extremely chaotic with autistic brother and my, I want to say crazy mother. I love her and everything, but it was not a calm place. Like it makes sense to be anxious. It
created some imbalances.
Yeah, it makes complete sense to be anxious and avoidant in that home. And then there's one family that things were just way more stable for them.
Or they seemed.
No, but I know that they are.
Okay.
I've been quite close to them,
Okay.
But what I see instead is like they have like the parents in this
like
family.
they live a level and they stay there.
Yeah,
They never do.
Yeah, but it's also maybe
extra.
they wouldn't be like, I don't know, anxious about certain things. I would be because of my background, but it's like still a very fearful life, being afraid of many things because of programming from. The news and from all kinds of things.
You have done the extra mile and you gained things in this process, while they didn't have to do this.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I have seen too in my life, that in these cases, people didn't have any challenge to overcome. So without these challenges, that's why I said Peugeot, like everything it's linear.
Yeah.
They do not have to do that or surpass obstacles, or they have obstacles, of course, but not so big ones like it's fear.
Yeah.
It's fear. They fear not to lose the security. They acknowledge. They know it's their goal. The security.
Yeah, and it was interesting actually because the mother in that family, I take that as an example many times. She got cancer a few years ago, and that was like the first time in her life that she experienced something like anxiety and depression. And I know that she told my mom kind of like. Oh, I know what you're talking about now. And to me, that's like incredible. Like, wow, you're like in your 60s and you never experienced something like that before. But
it happens.
But an incredible thing is that because luckily that all went well, because that was, of course, it was like for the entire family then, almost the biggest challenge they met. And they started, the parents there, they started valuing life in a completely different way. You know, they start drinking less alcohol, they're very, you know, they go out, go on walks in nature, even exercise more. I've trained them even, you know.
Everything for the good.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing, the contrast that, in a way, because I think they're doing better than ever now because of this, you know. So I think that's a thing with trauma and that.
We all progress and evolve, no matter what.
But, you know, difficulty is difficulty. It is what it is. It's tough, but there's always another side of the coin. The way I see it, the more pain and suffering you've gone through, the larger is your potential to experience the complete opposite. Do you know that even the first couple of mornings here, when I just went out on your porch to see the sunrise, I literally got tears in my eyes.
You appreciate more.
Yes. It's not like I get hugely emotional. I'm just wow.
It moved you.
Yes.
Yes, of course. And that's why nature is also so important. That's why, honestly, and I know that you also train outside using nature, that's the biggest reason that I like to be outside. Me too. I will never forget, it was the first year that I was in the center for recovery, and I was walking, and my mind was clear, and I was more able to see outside that. I saw the scenes here and was crying literally because, wow, what a beauty, and I wasn't able to see it. Now I can, and look how beautiful it is, and I can feel it. Not other feelings were in the middle, because it's like getting out of the vortex again. So you start to see outside that life is nice, and nature for me was very important. That's why I live here. It's a choice to be here, because that helps me to keep my balance.
100%. You know, I think just the last thing about that, it's more acutely, but when I was going through that panic attack phase, you know, on the one hand, it was terrible, of course. It's the most intense, just negative feelings I've ever felt. But there was something about the first period, because the first panic attack was so shocking that I was in a sort of panic state for 10 days after that. If I wasn't acutely distracted, I would feel like I was looking at myself from the outside. It's a very creepy feeling, you know. But when that just came back a little bit, I still got panic attacks on a daily basis, super intense. But every time I came home, I felt such relief, you know, that it's over. The mission for today of trying to go and face this, it's over. And I felt so amazing just about that. You understand? I don't really have to do anything. I remember I would just lie down in the couch and be it's so nice that things are just nice. Yes.
I felt safe. Yeah. For me, safety, it's nature.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, I think a lot of people are disconnected from nature and don't even realize. And I know I was one of those people, definitely.
Yeah, me too. I was raised in a city, and I'm from the very few people here that choose to abandon the city and come stay in the countryside.
That's something I like about you also, that you live very intentionally. That's a thing I can respect about something I, again, disagree with veganism, that, well, it's you do what you want to do, you know, you create the life and live the way you want to. And I think, unfortunately, way too many people just live the life that kind of was presented to them, you know.
Again, it's acknowledge yourself, learn the self. Gnosis αυτόν, as we Greeks say. And it's a process. It's a process for everyone. Some people do that young, we have discussed that, some people at the age 60 something, and that's okay. Sad, but true. It's not the same, it's not linear, they're not because everyone, you know, that we have discussed it many times too, that people think that there is one golden pill that they will take it and it will happen. With all of these, we can discuss for days, you know that.
Yeah.
And with all of these Ozempic, things like that, but it's not so simple, and it's dynamic. And for me, every change has to be something that we should be able to use it, to have it in our life forever. Most of the people want a solution now, instantly, and no,
and
that's why they are, most of them, painful.
Yeah, but it's gradual always.
No pain, no gain.
Yeah, exactly. No, but the way I see it, kind of, with what life is like that, or how it is that, you know, you're born pure. But in some cases, even the kid can, but depending on what the mom did and what it can like almost have problems right from the
And then
start.
from the birth, even from the birth,
Yeah,
they can have
but
issues.
mostly, at least, you have not yet taken in any outside programming, because that's what I felt when I had gone through that panic attack phase, and it was like over. The feeling was nostalgic. And the way I see it is because I come closer to my core, you know, that all the attachments and the programming that I've like just picked up, so much was just washed away, and it felt nostalgic. It felt like I'm back
I feel
to
the
this.
same with mine disorder. Like many times, I feel that it was secure and safe, and it was the only mechanism I had. So I sometimes miss it because it was what worked for me, and it provided me security. But of course, you know, then you're like, okay, no, not anymore.
I cannot say that I miss any of my like coping mechanisms like that. You know, I guess what I felt when I've gone through these years, when I've gone through some really difficult time, and I know that at the time I would be looking for like this escape, but now it's just like certain things that I would do, they're just like a no-go now. And it feels a little bit like, shit, I really just have to deal with this, you know.
True, we grow up, you know. We're almost 32, almost.
Yeah, very soon. No, and I guess, you know, there are many things. This is the time we found. I could have talked about many, but these were like the core things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So is there anything
we
before we go?
We can talk again.
No,
just thank you so much. Thank you for coming, visiting me here in my paradise, and I hope you loved it, and you know that it's your home too, anytime you want. Yes. And I hope we do part 2 in Stockholm one day.
Oh yeah, that would be great. No, well, thank you for hosting me. It seems like I already have a Greek mother also.
Many.
yeah, another one.
yeah, of course. You can take her to Stockholm.
But okay, yes, let's call it for this one. Yeah, thank you, Eva. Thank you for this.
Ευχαριστώ και εγώ. I don't know still how to say thank you in Swedish. Sorry.
Tack.
Tack.
Yes.
Tack.
Tack så mycket.
We haven't danced. Tack.
Peace, guys.